welcome to Tea with Molly, my dear English friend. She's from Jersey like me, but we burned the pot. Now lives in London. So she's like London town Lily Allen with her cute little bangs, and I bet she has a bicycle. We're getting into all the shit. Most of them we talking about like the big Meghan Markle debacle and like how that relates to feminism and being a woman. And I just want you to know, if you're not following Molly, go to Diva Behavior after this and like get in the tea with Molly, because she's dropping psychologically astute goss, like the hottest goss. It makes your like clit turn, but then also you're like, this is smart people talking. Okay, cuties, let's get into tea time with Molly. Welcome, Molly. How are you doing? How's it going over there in your evening?
I'm doing great. I had today was a little bit of a non-starter because we did the Moonual last night, our mutual friend Sarah's show. I did a presentation on the Pisces new moon, and I ended up on the Moonual until like 3 a.m. my time.
Good for you, my time. But this is the thing, we're on the same line. We're like, we actually function on the same timeline, because right now it's evening for Molly. I'm about to go to bed in like an hour. I wake up at 3 or 4 a.m. every day, as we know. You go to bed around 3 or 4 a.m. So like, we're so aligned.
Yeah, it's like perfect. And it was really fun Moonual. It was good. Yeah, I just was like kind of hungover all day though. I feel kind of bad about it, but whatever. I was trying to be nice to myself about it.
Be nice to yourself. It is a Sunday. We're going to drink some tea. So before we get started, I do want to pronounce that I am drinking my favorite mug. This is Grandma Liz wielding a knife. It's her finest glory is whenever she's holding a knife that we're like excited about it. And her family members just standing around her like, I'm a little scared. She actually, Molly, the reason she was put in a home before she died was she started pulling knives on staff in her home. She couldn't have help in her home because she was just getting paranoid, which I think is kind of fucking cool, that they were like CIA spying on her. Her fantasies were like amazing. She had all these like very like intense fantasies where she was like some bitch, and she would just start pulling knives out on staffers.
This was your grandma?
Grandma, like the overnight help. She was like, oh, first of all, they have no lives. If she get lives, get out of my house. That's how she thought about it. But anyway, I love her. Definitely bringing Grandma Liz energy today with the, I realized, okay, I'm going to stop talking in 5 seconds, but I realized I'm wearing a French twist right now, and that is like the old school version of the messy top bun, which you are representing.
Yes, it's very messy. Can we see the French twist? Oh, do you like my painting of Oprah?
It's a shittily done one. But, you know, it's because it's like bitches who have shit to do who really give no fucks. Top bun or French twist. It's like through the generations.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay, darling, before we get started, and I ask you all the deep personal questions, I want to just affirm for our audience, the streaming multiverse of ladies who lunch, that you are not getting paid for this interview. You've not been given any of the interview questions in advance, and your vagina is so far so clean.
Yes, this is all accurate, all true.
I love it. So is mine. Okay, cutie. So, we're going to talk about Meghan. We're going to talk about being a feminist. We're going to talk about being from Jersey and living in London. But to start off, I got this little pendulum from this bitch named, like, Vivian. Anyone named Vivian who wears purple, like, don't trust. But, so she gave me this pendulum. It's for talking to dead people. So let's just get a little affirmation from Princess Diana that she's okay with us talking about her and all that shit, okay? Don't want to talk about a woman. So I guess when it goes, let's say yes is this direction, no is this direction, okay?
Okay.
All right, do you want to ask Diana for permission?
Hey, Diana, is it okay that we're talking about you?
Oh, wait, hold up. I just remember how to use this thing. We say, what is yes?
What is yes?
Yeah, like, what are you showing us? So this is yes. What is no? Bitch, get clear. It's 2020. We got to get consent right.
Is it going the same way?
Same way is, I don't know, like, maybe Diana doesn't really understand, like, her strong yes, strong no's. Like, she needs to learn to say no, maybe. Diana, what's a no? You know, I think it's like the Ouija board where witches, like, fuck with it. They don't really let it. Okay, let's just try one more time. You can ask Diana for permission.
Is it okay if we talk about you?
Okay, cool. Whatever. I think it's a non-response. Fine. She's busy. Okay, darling. So, I think
You know it's
Oh, what was that?
It's Mother's Day in the UK today.
I heard. How perv.
Yeah.
Perv. Okay, darling. So I'd say I used to begin every convo on Tinder when I was like really. First of all, do we love my like waiting for Postmates look? It's like old school. So when I was a younger version of myself, and I did a lot of Tindering and bumbling and all the things, I used to start off all my dating conversations with what great pain brought you here, because let's be real. So when it comes to comedy, what great pain brought you here?
Oh, definitely when I was really little, just feeling like I wasn't pretty. Like I felt really ugly. So I was like, I need to learn how to be funny so that people will like me.
First of all, I want to say, like, ridiculous because you're so beautiful, and I'm sure you always were.
Oh, thank you. No, I was like so ugly when I was little. I'm not even saying it to be self-deprecating. It was like really rough times for a while.
Just imagine that like some crazy shit happened and you were like impossible to believe but like unattractive. What do you feel like, if you could go back in time like fairy godmother, do you feel like the character you developed through that struggle was worth it, or would you rather go backwards and be like, oh no, she's gorgeous the whole time?
I would rather think I was gorgeous the whole time.
Really?
Yeah.
So even though you developed through the fire, you would have saved that little baby you from that experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I probably would have been funny anyway because everyone in my family is funny, and I'm from Jersey. Like everyone there is just funny. Like you have to be. So I don't think I would have turned out like more boring if I felt better about that, if that makes sense.
Because she's learning all about inner child work, and apparently you don't have to, you can believe it or not believe it. It doesn't really even matter what we believe. It's more the fact that through just loving your little girl, like you can rewrite that story for yourself. Mm-hmm. And like, look at a picture of her and then don't shit talk her on a live. Make her feel pretty.
I know, it's hard. That is hard because I look at pictures of myself and I'm just like, thank God I don't look like that anymore. But
well, you're glowing, and it's so funny to know the backstory because just like Meghan Markle, like we just think, oh, their life is perfect and they're beautiful. We don't realize that actually we all carry it. We all have a story. Okay, so I love it. Thank you for sharing so vulnerably. So my favorite sexual position next to passive income is backlash, and yet install. Who it really comes for a bitch. So Meghan's in her backlash moment, which you could argue she's been facing backlash from the beginning, which you know more than I do. So what is a moment for you where you face backlash, big or small, because of what you put out in the world or the way you're living your life?
Oh, I've had a few different like social media trolling moments where I had people saying really nasty things to me online as like a coordinated days-long thing with like hundreds of people. The first one was
huge fucking deal, my darling. So
I know.
Molly was talking about divas and diva behavior, and she's like an advocate for ladies, and she's being funny and sassy all the time. So now that, like, just in case anyone was not following diva behavior, fuck you, get on it, follow the pod, like and subscribe, and now we can continue on. So give us the tea. What happened?
So there's probably 4 that stick out to me most. The first one was when I made a listicle of memes that are about adopting pit bulls and how annoying those memes are. Because, like, don't get me wrong, I love anyone who's adopting any animal. I think it's amazing. But a lot of the time, people who adopt pit bulls, like, turn it into this whole personality, and it's very weird. It's like this huge online thing. So and this was like 7 years ago that I did this story. So I did a slideshow of all the most annoying pit bull memes, and for days I was getting like pit bull rights advocates like tweeting at me and commenting and emailing me and like trying to get me fired because I said that.
Not the dog's like, and it's not the dog's fault. It's the people.
Right.
I can't tell you how many crotchless, like, like the ripped fucking nylons. Like, she looks like she crawled out of a hole and she's walking a pit bull. I don't trust you with my burrito. I definitely don't trust you with an animal that's jaw can, like, lock on.
Yeah. it's like, it's crazy. And it's also just, I don't know, like some of the people who are really intense pit bull advocates, they will go online and like talk shit about people who have been attacked by pit bulls and talk about it. It's just a really psychotic
literally
mindset.
Go watch your dog right now. Like, go train that dog well, because we know if it's a well-trained dog, it's fine. But if it's not, it's dangerous.
Yeah, it's so crazy. It's so crazy.
God,
and then
I gotta get at these people. I'm excited to see their fire.
I know. I actually tried to find the slideshow a few years ago and I couldn't find it. It's been like lost in the annals of the internet with a lot of my other early work. But one of the second things that I got really intensely trolled for was I wrote an article about Kate Middleton saying that she looked like she was taking style tips from Pippa. And it was like a time when Kate was trying really edgy looks, and like we know that's not really her forte. No. And so I wrote this like tongue-in-cheek story like, oh, this outfit she wore looks like this outfit Pippa wore, and like, Kate, maybe you should like leave the trying to be edgy to Pippa. It was like, you know, it was a little bitchy, but it was pretty much like harmless. And then I had all these psychotic middle-aged Royals fans from like middle America emailing me, and they were like Googling pictures of me and sending them to me and telling me like ripping my outfits apart.
What
and
I
like,
love about this is like you really get torn to shreds by not very smart people when you're talking about the most banal shit. Like, it's not like your stance on Trump or like abortion that got you in trouble. No.
Yeah. It's like pit bulls in fashion.
Amazing. This is so great. So what's your initial response? Like, we know like we have so many levels to ourselves, right? And like there's always like, you're a smart check, like you get it, you're public, you're putting yourself out there. But what's the initial feeling when you see like a negative comment? Like, how do you manage it? What comes up for you?
It definitely freaks me out at first, like because no one likes to hear something negative about them or see something negative about them. But now I've been through it so many times that I can sort of like gird my loins against it. And I know that these people are idiots. Even the first time with all the pit bull people, I never really was like hurt by it or damaged by it. Like,
Molly,
you know,
I just need to pause just for a moment for my dead grandpa, who's an English teacher, and a poet and a New York Times reviewer. Yeah, he reviewed the first copy of Nabokov's Lolita, and I'll never stop.
Whoa.
Yeah. Huge deal. But there's been a few phrases that you've just casually thrown out, like a very, you know, lit expatriate, like out in London, like impressing the Brit. The annals of the internet, love it. It's just like so anal. And then the other one you just delicately laid out. What was this one you just said? Another?
I don't know.
Oh, I missed it. Anyway, we'll watch the replay. I'll put it in the comments. I just want to point out that you got away with words.
Thank you so much. I have an overactive throat chakra, so I think that's why.
Who told she's overactive? But telling you to shut up in her Kundalini class? Like, how did she know overactive? I
took a quiz for how active or inactive your chakras are, and it said that my root and my crown chakra are underdeveloped. Everything else is perfectly in balance, and my throat chakra is overdeveloped.
Basically, that's the bitch you talk too much without thinking or feeling.
Exactly.
Okay, did your husband ever say that to you?
No, but he knows it. He knows that I am and he thinks it's funny. Like, he loves it because he's really like shy and quiet, and I'm really like balls to the wall. So
I mean, and it's like this is your vehicle. This is what you do. You
exactly.
So like, I really do want to just like take issue with that quiz. I'll go subtweet and like at whoever wrote that quiz. Because I love your ability to speak. You know, for me, it's like I seem like I can speak a lot, but I can speak for like 10 minutes, and then I'm like, don't talk to me for a day. It's like a
really?
weird intro. Yeah, I'm like I need a lot of alone recharging. I'm an intro extra.
I think I need recharging too sometimes, but I also will just talk anyone's ear off, I would say.
Right.
But yeah, with the social.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, please.
I was just gonna say, just with all the social media stuff, I just don't. It doesn't bother me at all, and it's weird because a lot of other people I know are really, really like emotionally scarred from it, and for me, it's just kind of funny.
They like took themselves out, like they were like one girlfriend I have, we grew up together. She was like the one, like I saw her do improv when she was like 6. Like she was like fucking always on stage. Like she's so naturally funny, naturally talented. Like she had a little bit of success, not to, but little. Like she had a moment, right? She had her moment. She got backlash. She's been afraid, like PTSD'd out of for the past like 10 years. Like literally early 20s had a moment. People shat on her, and she is. So what you say is so true, and I think it's a psychological makeup. Sometimes it's like what are like we come in with certain vulnerabilities, and I will agree. Get at me, people. Try to shock me out of it. Almost makes me like rigorously like I feel like I'm more impassioned about my dumb comedy. I'm like I must like it's good. It like gives me fuel. People don't like my shit.
Yeah, and it makes you like look at who's mad at you and see, you know, do I feel like good that these people are angry at me, or do I feel bad? And I always feel good. Like my most recent
Thanksgiving, probably not. Like probably not feel like actually things smell good.
Yeah, like my 2 most recent ones were Piers Morgan retweeted me about the Queen, and I had all these crazy royalists in my mentions for 3 days calling me and all this stuff. And I was just like, okay, if the people that worship Piers Morgan think I'm wrong, then I'm definitely right. And another time, it was Blue Lives Matter people coming for me. Like,
no, that's called clout, boo. That's it. You're at it.
It was like 5 years ago, because it was like this woman, she was a police officer and she was Black, and something happened on the job and she was held accountable for it. She lost her job. And I just tweeted something like, of course, the first time we see a police officer in one of these high profile cases actually have to take accountability for something they did wrong, it's a Black woman. Like, they never do this with white men, but it's a woman and she's Black. So of course they're going to like say, oh yeah, she lost her job, instead of giving her like paid administrative leave for like murdering someone. So I tweeted that, and it was all Blue Lives Matter people swarming every single like social channel that I had, and just telling me
at her. She's like, give it to me. I don't care. Your bullets feel like me being like for the cause. You're lighting me up for the cause. Thank you. I love that.
And they were emailing my boss.
Good.
Yeah, crazy.
So you know what? Because part of boundaries, sometimes we have to set boundaries, and sometimes life becomes to the point where it's like choices are made for us, and it's like, oh, I guess I have to more even firmly take my stance because y'all hate me anyway. So here we go, right? So I'm gonna ask you that question right now. So these people, you know, Meghan and Harry, have taken their moment to be like, you kind of pushed us out, but we're gonna actually just walk out. So it's like all fucking well, goodbye. We all wanted this to happen ultimately. Where in your life do you see a boundary that you have made / was made for you that ultimately has been a blessing?
Ooh. Whoa, that's really hard, because I'm not good at doing that. Setting boundaries. Oh my God, I have to think really hard about that, because I kind of just let people do whatever they want, and I will stand up for causes and stand up for other people in my life, but then whenever it comes to somebody kind of like shitting on me, sometimes if it's a real life interaction, I'll kind of take it. Like, right, that has been something.
Here's the tea. Here's the fucking tea. Okay, cutie, I'm gonna do a little coachy moment for me. We already spoke about the fact that you're capable of looking at your little girl and saying she's ugly, right? And that we really want to rewrite that. Once you start doing that work, you're going to be advocating for her, and you're going to find yourself putting boundaries in place you never thought you would put. And you're like, who just did that? And you're like, oh, you know why? Because I'm fighting for her. I'm doing a hard thing for her. But until we have that relationship, we have no reason. We're just like, oh, sacrifice me. Who cares?
Yeah, so true. That makes total sense. I'm going to think about it that way from now on, for sure.
I love this for you.
And God, what boundary do I have?
I'm walking through this right now.
Yeah, this is super helpful. I guess one boundary that I've repeatedly tried to set, and it's kind of funny, but it doesn't work, is making people not chew with their mouths open around me.
I love that. What a place to
That's like the one thing that I ask people. I'm like, please don't, because I have this thing called misophonia, where if I hear people chewing or like breathing too loud or like just making weird mouth noises, it activates my fight or flight response. So I immediately want to like punch them in the face. Like I literally get.
That is honestly the gluten allergy of like phobias. I love it because it's like so fucking convenient and true. She's got a gluten allergy and close your fucking mouth around her. I love that.
So I ask people all the time. I'm always like, well, I used to do it way more when I was younger. I would be like, can you please chew with your mouth closed? It's actually really rude to chew with your mouth open. And since I was like 8, I would probably like kind of get away with it. But then I was like, I can't keep telling people to do this. So now I only do it if I'm really close with them. I'll just be like, yo, you're kind of chewing with your mouth open. And it's like,
I need to get you all the benefits possible. I want you to get a dog for your misophonia. How do you diagnose with it? I might have it too.
I don't know. I've never been diagnosed with it because this is hilarious. I went to the health center in college because I was like, look, I can't focus on anything because people are chewing so loud and they're chewing gum and everything because gum is allowed in college classes. And they were like, okay, we'll give you Adderall. So I was like, you're giving me speed for my rage problem?
Thank you.
Like, I'll take it, but
yeah, visit more often, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So like I took the Adderall, but it didn't help with the misophonia at all. Like nothing helped.
The party that in college years, not who's there. Like now I understand that we only have one heart, but I would say, right? Fun.
Yeah.
It was fun.
It was fine.
Stupid. Okay, my darling. I want to ask you a question about being a feminist in England town. So what have you noticed? What's the difference? So I just saw a little like article about all these Australian women being like, we're now feminists, and I guess it's like they're kind of like it's kind of a resurgence or a new wave of feminism has popped up in Australia. So my email says, what are you noticing with this whole Meghan moment with the British versus the American version of feminism? Are you noticing anything that feels like I leave it there?
There is so many interesting differences between the UK and US approach to feminism. Like in the US, I feel like feminism is a mainstream accepted topic. Like if you say that you don't believe in feminism, people are going to assume that you're like an asshole, you know, for the most part, depending on like where you live and your cultural background and everything. But in the UK, feminism seems to be a little bit more taboo and a little bit more of a dirty word. And there is this big panic around the concept of wokeness. Like, I don't know who taught British people the word woke. I want to punch them because they talk about it all the time now. Like, on all the days.
They're all like the libertarian mindset of like, don't stop me from saying things I like to say loudly.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, I think there's a really prominent part of British culture, and I'm not saying this to look down on them or anything, because I think we all have equal levels of problems with racism, sexism, everything. I think every single country has its own issues with that, and I think whenever we get into the territory of saying like, oh, it's better in this place, like it's just not. It's always bad. But one thing I've noticed in the UK is there is this really endemic tall poppy syndrome. So if you are in the UK and you're making noise, confronting people about anything, talking too loud about anything, like trying to change anything, people are going to look at you sideways and they don't like it. So I think that's part of why they hate the woke thing. I actually was on a podcast, like a broadcast with some Brits last week. It's called The Booze at 10, and we talked about this. And they were saying like, to them, what woke means, because for me and in the US, I think woke means open-minded, tolerant. You want everyone to kind of, like, obviously some people are a little heavy-handed with it, but for the most part, it's like a good thing. But in the UK, what they think of when they think of wokeness is being confronted over the way you're doing things and being asked to change. And that's why they don't like it.
The self-righteous version. We all know the annoying teen who's like, and I'm today. And you're like, bitch, shut up, we learned it too. But like, yes, darling. So it's, I hear that, and I think you're doing a really great job of navigating this culture shift by really seeing the broader perspective that it isn't really about the issue so much, almost as a style choice. Like, are we going around owning our truth and encouraging others to do the same, or are we going around proselytizing, which I think is not cute in any language.
Yeah. And I do that sometimes. I know I do that sometimes because I just get really passionate about things. And like, I know that I can be annoying for sure.
Well, there we
but
go.
like,
There's a style choice though, right? And that's where cultural shock happens, because it's like, we've talked about this before, like we're Jersey girls, like when we have opinions, like we say them loudly and proudly, and like we're not trying to shut others down, but oftentimes it is perceived that way by people who have a style. So it's like so lovely to be in England and be like, wait, like we're speaking the same language, but we're really not. Because that's such a great psychological awareness that we can bring into every conversation, right, my jar? So when you look at culture shock, I like to think of, I just like realized this the other day, and I said it on a live, but I'll say it again. The shock of culture shock oftentimes is us cutting off a part of ourselves and disavowing it and being like, I'm going to just like become new. So the only way to do it is to say fuck you to her. Is there a part of you that when you became a girl who lives in England, when you decided to commit to this lifestyle, you were like, bitch, get out of here? And any part of you that you let go of that you want to claim and reclaim right now?
I think I already have reclaimed it, because I definitely had to make a choice when I first moved here about whether I was going to sort of assimilate into the British way of doing things or stay true to my like loudmouth Jersey roots. And I definitely decided to stay the way I am. So
you had a moment where that decision became crystallized for you?
I think it was like, well, when I first came here, I was going to grad school. I was getting a master's in screenwriting. So I would do, like, we would have to do presentations for the different classes sometimes. And every time I did a presentation, everybody afterward would be like, that was amazing. Like, how did you do that? How are you so confident? And I was like, this is hilarious, because like I put this together in 10 minutes and just stood up there and talked about it. So I was like, okay, what I sometimes think of and definitely manifests itself as being an obnoxious American also can be a superpower here, because people don't have our same like public facing enthusiasm and charisma overall. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to stay how I am. People are definitely going to judge me. People definitely, like in the before times when we were allowed to mingle with strangers, people would judge me on a daily basis. Like people would hear me talking in a pub and they would literally come up to me and start yelling at me about how stupid Americans are, like frequently.
My darling, I love this because, you know, they always say don't hate, congratulate. Like, it's like internally you decided, you know what? I'm not going to hate. There are people are going to come and hate, and that's okay. I'm going to congratulate. And also within the hate is so often just a little micro moment shift becomes a congratulate, because what is new to us, what is foreign to us, we can so often just reject. And oftentimes it's exactly the thing that we really truly like admire. And so I love that you're able to see that crack where people start to open up their vulnerability and say like, it'd be nice to be able to speak in public without like shivering in my boots, as they might say. Is that something English people say? Shivering in my boots.
No, I don't think they say that.
All right, well, I'm going to get one phrase before the end of this. I'm just going to naturally say something and you're going to be like, wow, that was so English. So you're marrying an Irish man, which is way cooler because they know the struggle, right, Katie?
Yes.
Irish are just cooler. And we're going to have potentially an English baby. What are you really excited to hear them say with their English accent?
It's going to be really weird because, like, our baby is probably not going to match our accents. And that is so strange. And, like, it's going to be English. So, like, are its Irish cousins going to bully it? And, like, its American cousins are going to just, like, think it's smart for no reason because that's what Americans think when they hear English accents. So it's going to be so weird. But I don't know. I get it's going to be especially weird because it's going to say mummy.
Oh, I love that, my darling. I'm really excited for you. I hope not to this might be a character building struggle for him, but I kind of like the idea that he'll have his own voice. Like he's gonna hear you, he's gonna hear dad, he's gonna hear kids, and then he's gonna have his own way of saying Marmite that's just unique to him.
Yeah, or and he or she is just gonna be so I don't know. I hope they don't have identity issues because of this, because we're going to probably have a kid here and have them in a third country that neither of us is from. So I just hope that doesn't like mess up.
But I have to say, I do believe that identity issues are going to be a whole new ballgame, because everybody's going to be like buy everything. You know, like the future baby is like such a more of a mix. Thank God, right, cuties? Everyone's going to have more racial babies. So I feel like he'll be in the company of his peers, and that like it'll be so much more common to have this like cross-pollination lifestyle.
Especially in London. Like London is so multinational. It's crazy. Like I barely have any English friends, you know, like most of my friends are Irish, American, Australian, like, you know, it's just such a melting pot here. So it'll probably be fun.
The greatest rom-com ever made. You know, had me at hello, Jerry Maguire. What Irish word was spoken to you? They were like, you had me at potatoes. Like, what word said with an Irish accent like really got you in the beginning?
My fiance says things are class all the time. He says, that's class. Oh, that's class.
Oh, I love that. That's so cute. Oh, you know, like, I'm
really
getting off on that. I need an Irish boyfriend, like, immediately. Postmates. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, yes. I had a really juicy one that was just on the tip of my tongue for you, my darling. She's going to come back. She'll come back. It'll come back. So, signature look. I don't know if Meghan has a signature look, Meghan Markle. Kim certainly does, the Skims, but we're going to see maybe at post-Kanye, she's going to be back with, like, the Juicy Couture, which could very well happen. Hot Pangs, right? It could happen. If you were to be iconographized today, you, like, retired tomorrow, what would your signature look, what would you, fingers crossed, you be remembered by as your signature look?
Probably something that's a little bit of a mix of like classic and a little bit like punky grungy at the same time.
That's
like
little Courtney Love mixed with like Princess Diana.
Yes, exactly. Like when I was growing up, I was really into like surfing and stuff like that. And I feel like that really imprinted itself on the way that I dress. Like I like to do a lot of sort of, I wear some tomboy stuff, I would say, some slightly like gender bendy stuff, but I'm also so girly. So
I mean, I've only seen you from here to here my whole life, and I'm obsessed with everything I see.
Thank you. Well, this is just a shirt. I'm having such an off day today, but like my scrunchie's
go follow her. She's got personal style for days. That's why I asked that question. Don't even hesitate to know that. So I have to ask you, okay, the question did come back. So at the end of the famous, iconic, fucking paradigm shifting, I thought I was just going to grab my popcorn and like have a little rosé moment. No, bitch, this was not a basic conversation. This was a paradigm shifting conversation, Meghan and Opes. So Meghan Opes in a little appearance by her cute little ginger. They, at the end, Harry and Meghan had a little tit for tat over who saved who. And you look at your relationship, in what ways have you saved him, and in what ways has he saved you?
Oh, I love that. He has definitely saved me financially. Because because this pandemic, you know, for people who do work like we do, it's been rough for any and all creative work. I finished my degree and got my work visa for the UK a week before the lockdown started. The first lockdown.
It's ready. Email sent. No.
Yeah, exactly. That's so crazy. I never used my UK work visa until November of last year. I was still working for like US publications and everything, but yeah, it's just been a crazy year money wise. And even before that, it was crazy because I was in grad school, and he is just like so supportive, and he knows that I'm working so hard all the time, and he knows that it's
where's the Birkin?
Oh God, I wish. He knows it's he feels like it's gonna pay off too. Like he always says that like I'm his investment. And he's always like, you know, this is gonna, like, if one of us is gonna get super rich, it's probably gonna be me if I ever get any money.
Like My darling, that's it. Like I said, I've known you for about 15 minutes from here to here. Like we were new quarantine friends, but I can already tell your work ethic is on it. You're smart as shit, and
Oh, thank you.
talk about making and creating. So it's like a person like you is going to be successful financially. And in the meantime, what a beautiful blessing knowing that like we gotta have each other's backs right now. So it's like to have a partner who's like supportive in that way. Gorgeous. And it's letting you build your platform, which by the way is my upcoming retreat. Build your platform. Get at me.
Oh, cool.
Make a living too. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna go all the way from core values to like literal color scheme. It's like I'm very excited for this retreat. Okay. How have you saved him?
I think if I have saved him in any way, it's like just telling him to be a little more aggressive and a little more Jersey in like social situations and like business dealings. Like we're looking at apartments now and it's really fun to like work together on like coming up with these offers and sort of like bullying the real estate agents a little bit because they're suppliers. And
so
yeah, we're such a good like support system to each other. We really do. Each of us picks up where the other person leaves off. Do you know what I mean? Like,
that's so good.
We're really different, but we have like really complementary skill sets, I would say.
So when you first met him and you started to discover that you were so different and that it could be complementary, was there a point where you thought, you know, like I need someone who's more similar to me? Like, and like just, I know that's kind of a vulnerable question, but like I struggle with that because sometimes I meet people and I'm like, oh my God, we're like besties, but would we have any sexual tension? And then it's like, you're so different. I don't know if we could collapse. Like, I feel like as someone who's seeking love and hasn't found her person yet, like that's a question. I'm like, do I need that balance or do I need like bestie samesies? Like, was that a struggle to be like, this is right, even though it's different?
I really dated like more creative minded guys my whole life before I started dating him. There was like one guy who was more of a sort of bro, like my fiance, but everyone else I would say was like a skinny jeans little like whiner.
Totally.
That's like, not. They were all really.
And like, can you pay my like sushi? Like, can you get me a sushi? Like, just like half of a lunch. We split a bill once.
Like right, like they were great guys. All the other guys I dated, they were more like me in terms of like being more creative and an artistic type of personality, which I thought was like a necessity for me because I was like, if I don't have someone who's gonna watch like Jean-Luc Godard films with me, I don't want it. But now I'm like, whatever. He'll watch those with me sometimes, and other times, let's watch Braveheart for the 30th time.
What core values do you feel like you share that you're like, you're my baby daddy?
Definitely trying to be a good person. Like we both really try, like we both, I would say, think about whether we are being good and nice to the people around, and we think hard about it. And if we feel like we're not, we will like wring our hands over it for days. It's probably just Catholic guilt. But
I love this, my darling, because it's like a lot of the shows, you know, like a lot of my favorite people in the world live on reality TV dating shows. And oftentimes they're into the guy, but then they're like, the way they treat production is so revealing. And that's just the same as like when you're on a date, like how do they speak to the server? You know, they can charge the fuck out of you, but if they're not walking around being a good person to everybody, like I used to be the girl who'd always date the guy that I'm like, no, you don't understand. When it's just the two of us, he's nice and he's a jerk to everyone else. Why is he being a jerk to people?
Right. Yeah,
no,
it's like this should never be being a...
No, and it's so revealing of so much. You know, just that those general like trying to be a kind person in the world. There's so much underneath that really sounds like it does glue you together.
Yeah, definitely. Like one of the first times we ever hung out at his apartment, he just said hi to every single person that we walked past. And I was like, oh, like all the doormen and everything. He was just like, hi, how are you? Like, how's your day? And I was like, oh my God, he's so nice.
Definitely get me. That would get me really hard. I really love that. I love a guy who like acts like the mayor, you know, like just, but not the like a cocky way, just like a we're all here together. Like, let's acknowledge that.
Yeah, it's very like comforting.
Oh, so gorgeous. Okay, my friend, I'm gonna let you go. Like, live the rest of your lit life. And like, literally, I'm gonna go to bed in like 30 minutes. It's like noon, and like she's gonna be up all night, like making memes and like upsetting. Like, let's get the terrier people. They're really funny.
Oh yeah. Well, anyone who's in sort of adopt don't shop community is going to cyberbully. That I think is like what unites them all.
You know what? I think this is your version of like feeling annoyed by like people like so that the old English folk who like don't get it and are like wokeness is this. What I think your experience is like they experience wokeness as you experience dog obsessor cults, one breed of dog lovers. Like it's probably the same level of like we get it, calm down.
Yeah, that could be it. That could definitely be it.
That might help your empathy with humans. Okay, my darling, thank you so much for joining. I'm so glad we had my dead grandma. We had Diana. Did you have any dead ladies who joined us? Did you feel their energies?
Did I?
Yeah, did you feel the energy of like your dead grandma or like any other fallen woman past that you want to call in and say thank you for being here with us?
I think maybe Brittany Murphy.
Fucking tragic. And that's
Gone
not a joke.
soon.
Seriously fucking too soon. What do we think? Have you watched the conspiracy docs on it? What's your tea?
I think something nefarious was going on, either like via the husband or probably the husband. He seemed very weird.
And then he died like a week later.
Very strange.
You got a Brittany Murphy fan. You got a Brittany Murphy, Princess Di. Actually, more of that than Courtney Love.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Okay, darling. Thank you so much.
That.
So these are the ways to follow. I'm gonna say definitely like go and just binge Diva Behavior. It's delightful. I'm on an episode, but not because of me.
Yes, that's awesome. I love it.
Oh, such a joy to speak with you. And then also, what else? Like Molly, give them all the tea. Like all the ways to get like legit obsessed. Like do a bender on your life. Like how do they follow?
Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Molly Mulshine. I also co-host Us Weekly's Royally Us show every week on Wednesdays. It comes out at. Did you not know this?
I did not know this. I must go watch. Oh my god, I'm prepared for this mo.
Really? Yeah, it's on YouTube, and we just talk about like royal news each week. So
I love how many people you're pissing off. You have yet to even begin to piss people off. All those fucking people who just love. I love it. Like you were saying on your TikTok, like they're celebrities. Yeah, like yeah, that's like from an American perspective, it's like obvious. But I love the fact that they're like under their gods, like when they have secret wings. They just don't do any cool shit. Like never done a cool thing ever.
It's so weird. People are like, oh, they're not celebrities. They're more than that. And I'm like, okay, so you actually do believe that they came out of like a magic vagina and they're special?
Oh my god.
Like you do think
Imagine if they really had superpowers and all they did was like wear really boring clothes and gossip about each other behind closed doors. Like it'd be like tragic. Like you literally are doing being amazing if you're amazing.
Yeah. It's crazy. They're just a reality show, basically.
I love it. You're speaking for the sane among the whole global populace. We're all like, you're doing good work and we appreciate it. So thank you for having tea with me.
Thank you for having me. This was so fun. And I'm really going to like think about my inner child for the rest of the week.
DM me if you want to guidance. And to all my Brava babies who are watching, come to platform. Maybe we'll get Molly to come. It's going to be my next Be Brava virtual retreat. The last Fridays of every month, we do it from 2 to 5 Pacific time. And you can see all that at be-brava.com.
Amazing.
Okay, we're off. We're out. Have a beautiful, blessed evenings to all my England friends, London friends, what other cities, whatever. You guys only care about London, right? Okay. Okay, bye, babe. Thank you.